Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's SBN here, Sports Bash Nation. As the Bears enter the most important offseason in team history, there's a lot of big decisions to be made. What we're going to do with that number one pick, whether we're going to trade it or if we're going to draft Caleb Williams and get rid of Justin Fields. No matter what Ryan Poles decides, a big trade is coming. And on the heels of what is looking like one of the great robberies in NFL history, that got me wondering, what are the best trades in Bears history? So I put together a list. These are, in my opinion, the top 10 best trades in Bears history. First, I'm going to start with an honorable mention. I wanted to put it on the list, but it's just too recent. Honorable mention, Montez Sweat. In 2023, Chicago traded a second-round pick in the 2024 draft in exchange for defensive end Montez Sweat. The trade immediately paid dividends for the Bears, as Montez Sweat had the best season so far of his career. He recorded 12.5 sacks, becoming the first player to lead two different teams in sacks during the same season, and earning his first Pro Bowl selection. This trade will certainly end up high on this list once his 4-year, $98 million contract plays out. Number 10, Brandon Marshall. In 2012, the Bears sent the Miami Dolphins third-round picks in the 2012 and 2013 draft in exchange for Brandon Marshall. 2012, we were desperate for a true number one receiver to pair with Jay Cutler, and Brandon Marshall was the guy we wanted because he and Jay Cutler were previously one of the best duos in the league in Denver, including 3 seasons where they connected for over 1,000 yards. And we got our guy, and it was amazing. Brandon Marshall had the finest season I'd ever seen a Bears wide receiver ever have. In 2012, he caught 118 passes for 1,508 yards and 11 touchdowns, earning first-team All-Pro honors. Things didn't end the way we hoped, but it was an amazing run while it lasted. In 2012, the Bears also made a great trade during the 2012 draft, sending a 5th-round pick to the St. Louis Rams to move up 5 spots to number 45 in the 2nd round, and they selected wide receiver Alshon Jeffrey to give Brandon Marshall and Jay Cutler a bona fide number 2 to work with. They would go on to be the best duo in 2013, with both of them earning Pro Bowl honors. Number 9, Jay Cutler. In 2009, the Chicago Bears sent Kyle Orton and 1st and 3rd round picks in the 2009 draft to the Denver Broncos in exchange for quarterback Jay Cutler and a 5th round pick. If this list was based on just emotion and hype of the trade, this would easily be number 1. Chicago was beyond excited when we made this trade. We had finally gotten a legit quarterback. I was actually driving home from work the day they made that trade. I was listening to Waddle and Sylvie on ESPN 1000 when they announced the trade, and I just started screaming for joy like a lunatic. There was a cop behind me, so he pulls me over and he walks up like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, the Bears just traded for Jay Cutler. And his eyes just lit up and he was like, "The Bears got Cutler? All right, man, have a nice day." You know, things, again, obviously didn't work out the way we imagined it would. He never quite lived up to the expectations and is the most polarizing player in Bears history. Though it wasn't all bad times. We did make it to the NFC Championship game in 2010. I'm not going to talk about that game, but he no doubt is one of the best quarterbacks in team history, as sad as that is to say. And with that 5th round pick in that draft, we selected wide receiver Johnny Knox. Johnny Knox was named a Pro Bowler his rookie year as a kick returner and was a very promising receiver before his career was tragically cut short. And what was the scariest moment I've ever seen as a Bears fan? I was in tears. Luckily, he wasn't paralyzed, though. Number 8, Justin Fields. In 2021, the Chicago Bears sent their 1st round pick, number 20, 2021 5th round pick, and 1st and 4th rounders in 2022 for the number 11 pick to the New York Giants for Justin Fields. I don't know how long Justin Fields will be a Bear. I'm hoping it's for a long time. I believe he could take us to the promised land. And this has the potential to be one of our greatest moves if that's the case, so I put it on my list. Number 7, Khalil Mack. In 2018, the Chicago Bears traded 1st and 6th round picks in the 2019 draft and 1st and 3rd round picks in the 2020 draft to the Oakland Raiders for defensive end Khalil Mack and 2nd and 7th round picks in the 2020 draft. In 2018, the Bears had an up-and-coming defense, and when we traded for Khalil Mack right before the start of the season, suddenly what was probably a fringe top 10 unit became the best defense in the league in 2018, leading the Bears to a 12-4 record and the NFC North crown. Bonus points for the 2020 2nd round pick turning into tight end Cole Kmet. Number 6, Mike Singletary. In 1981, the Bears sent a 5th round pick to the San Francisco 49ers to move up 2 spots in the 2nd round to number 38 to select linebacker Mike Singletary. A small price to pay for a legend, Samurai Mike would become a Hall of Famer and a key piece to the greatest team and defense of all time, the 85 Bears. Number 5, Dan Hampton. In 1978, the Bears traded defensive end Wally Chambers to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for their first-round pick in 1979, which would eventually become the 4th pick, and defensive end Dan Hampton. Now, Wally Chambers was a 3-time Pro Bowler with the Bears, but was a player on the decline. Luckily for us, the Buccaneers were a joke, and their cheap owner, Hugh Culverhouse, had no desire to pay the salary a first-round draft pick commands. So we were able to land Dynamo Hampton, who, like Mike Singletary, became a Hall of Famer and a key piece for the 85 Bears. These moves set the stage for the greatest team of all time. Unfortunately, in 1983, Bears general manager Jim Finks resigned, and Papa Bear George Halas passed away. And it would be a good 25 years before the Bears would make another trade worthy of this list. Number 4, Doug Atkins. In 1956, the Bears traded 3rd and 5th round picks to the Cleveland Browns for defensive end Doug Atkins. Now, Paul Brown is remembered as one of the greatest coaches of all time, but he had little patience for players who didn't fall in line to his strict rule. So George Halas must have been very pleased to land Doug Atkins for so little. At 6'8", Doug Atkins would become one of the first exclusively great players on defense and revolutionized the defensive end position to what we know as today. He was a key player on the 1963 Bears championship team and is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Number 3, Sid Luckman. We're going way back here. In 1939, George Halas was developing the T formation, which would change football into the game we know, and he thought quarterback Sid Luckman of Columbia University had the skills to run the offense. Luckily, the Pittsburgh Pirates at the time were struggling mightily financially, so Papa Bear convinced the future Steelers to draft Sid Luckman at number 2 and send him to the Bears, and in exchange, the Bears would take on the large contract of Edgar Mansky. Wow. Sid Luckman would go on to lead the Bears to the greatest beating in NFL history when the Bears trounced the Washington Redskins 73-0 in the NFL championship game and becoming a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Number 2, the great trade of 2023. In 2023, last year, the Bears sent the number 1 overall pick to the Carolina Panthers for wide receiver DJ Moore, a first-round pick in 2023, which the Bears would eventually turn into Darnell Wright and wide receiver Tyler Scott, a 2023 second-round pick, which became Tyreek Stevenson, a 2024 first-round pick, which would end up becoming the first overall pick that we now possess, and a second-rounder in the 2025 draft. This is already the best trade the NFL has seen since at least the Herschel Walker trade, and I believe will go down as the greatest trade of all time when it's all said and done. We got 3 cornerstone players already in DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, and Tyreek Stevenson, and we still got the first overall pick in this draft to potentially top that trade. These are the type of deals that alter franchises, and due to it being so recent and the move still playing out, it's going to stay at number 2 for me right now. And number 1, Dick Butkus. In 1964, the Bears traded 2nd and 4th round picks in the 1964 draft to the Pittsburgh Steelers in order for their first round pick in 1965, which would eventually become Dick Butkus, one of the greatest players in NFL history and certainly the most feared. To send 2nd and 4th round picks to get the greatest defensive player in franchise history and someone who went just beyond football, that sounds like a deal to me. When I was little, I knew Dick Butkus from like Gremlins 2 in that TV show Hang Time before I even knew, he was a football player. Before I knew he was born and raised in Chicago, played at Illinois, and then was a Bears legend. So that goes down is the greatest trade in Bears history. Rest in peace, Dick Butkus. So that's the list. What do you guys think? What's your favorite Bears trades of all time? I know people like to talk about the worst trades. I'll probably do something on the worst trades, but I wanted to focus on something good. Tired of all the negativity. So bear down. I'll see you on the next video. Peace.